Hey everybody, in this tutorial what we're going to be doing is we're going to take a couple of images, one front-facing image and one side-facing image, and create a 3D head like the one you see in front of you right here. Notice that along the side of the head we get some nice texture blending, and it looks very original, like it looks very realistic, almost like the actual image that we're going to be using. So I'm going to be showing you how to do this in just a moment. Now we have a more straightforward tutorial that deals with single image face fitting, and that goes into a little bit more detail in certain aspects. So if you want to, if this goes a little bit too fast for you, feel free to check that out, and it goes into a little bit more detail as far as the front facing photo fitting goes. Alright, so let's go ahead and start a new project here. We're going to be recreating that guy, and let's create a new actor. We're going to be using a 3D actor type right here. And you want to look like this, no emotion on your face, just a poker face, expressionless, front facing, and 90-degree sideways facing image. Do not look like this crazy girl down here. Let's go ahead and load the images. So first of all, we're going to go here to use a sample image, and these come with CrazyTalk 8, so you can follow along with the same guy. This is our boy Radic we're going to be using. And let's use the side facing image as well. There's Radic from the side. And to the next step. Alright, so this is the marking the feature points step. So let's go ahead and expand this window a little bit by clicking and dragging down here. And we can also zoom in by scrolling our mouse button. And we're going to zoom in onto our character's eyes. He has these beautiful green eyes. Alright, so just basically follow the reference image on the left and this target point indicator right here. So outer corner of the right eye. Okay, just click right there and add a point. And the inner eye on the other side. Again, we're going to skip through this a little bit because the other single image tutorial goes into a little bit more detail on this part. So right here you want to go to the tip of the nose, the direct tip of the nose right there, the left side of the lips, and again right where the lips part, that's where you want to place these 3 lip indicators or feature points. And then on the outer edge of the right cheek, so following the ear curve, right down to the outer edge of the right cheek, which would be about there. And this one is the right edge of the jaw, so right where the jaw is right there. And then you can also hold the space key and click and drag to pan around as well. That's a kind of a hotkey, a little trick for you there. If you're in too close and you want to just pan around without going to your scroll bar over here, hold the space key and click and drag. And you also want to try and create a symmetrical line, down the middle here as well. So where his chin point is, somewhere about there. Alright, and then we want to go to the left edge of the jaw, so that's directly across from here, somewhere over there. We'll just place it there for now. And then here, you want to go to the outer edge of the left cheek, so following the ear curvature there again, and right about there. That should be good. And then one on top of the scalp. Let's zoom out here and we'll place it right at the top there. There we go, that's probably where the top of the scalp is. And let's move on to the next step, which is the side fitting. Alright, so the side fitting, I want to zoom in here again by scrolling my mouse button. And this one is the outer corner of the eye, so right there. And this one is the nose root, so where the nose diverts from the forehead, about this point right there. And then this one is the nose tip, pretty straightforward, right at the tip of the nose there. And the subnasal, so where the nose meets the upper lip, about there on Radic. And this one is the center of the lips, so we're going to put it right there. And then this one is the corner of the mouth. So again, these are pretty self-explanatory. Just follow them along. And this one here is the chin tip. Now for this one, you want to put it a little bit below the chin tip because this is going to mean your facial texture is wrapping around to wherever you define the chin. So normally about somewhere like this would be okay. All right, and this one is the tragus, whatever that is. Basically, you just want to put it like wrap around the ear like this and then stick it somewhere like that at the bottom of his sideburns there. And the last one will go on top of the forehead, so right about here. Alright, we'll just stick that at the top of the scalp there. And then we're good to go to the next step, so let's click next. And let's take a look at our 3D generated head. Our handsome looking dude. You can see his head is a little strange shape, but we can fix that later on. Take a look at the side here. You can see it looks fairly decent, but you may notice that this side here is a little bit extruded as opposed to this side. This one's fairly straight. This one is a little bit extruded. And we'll talk about that in just a sec. But first of all, you can choose like different 3D face profiles here. You can choose like a Caucasian male with protruding brows and a larger looking nose, and African features, Asian features that are fairly common in certain areas of the world. I like this wide chin one right here, which makes him look like a tough-looking bouncer dude. So this one looks particularly good for Radic as he's a bald dude right here. But let's go back to the Caucasian because Radic is indeed a male Caucasian. And let's try and get rid of this banana shape on his head. And I'll show you the reason for that in just a sec. So let's go to the previous step here, the front-facing image. Now take a close look at his chin. His head is actually kind of tilted a little bit to the right. You can see there's a lot more chin space here than there is over here. So to compensate for that, we can actually just take this point right here and move it out a little bit, all right? And move this point out a little bit as well. And that's basically going to kind of negate a lot of the, let's go to the next step and the next step. It's going to negate a lot of the curvature that we saw in the last example. Again, we can just go over here. And didn't really do much. Maybe you need to kind of fix this area here as well. Let's go to the previous step. Let's bring this one in instead of outwards like that. Bring it inwards, something like that. And this one we can kind of bring that a little bit further out. And this chin a little bit further in. So just to kind of compensate for his tilted head right there, you want to tilt your side fitting points here. So let's do something like that and give that a shot. Alright, so we should have a less banana-shaped head at this point. Alright, that looks, fairly even. A little bit more even than it did before anyways. Alright, so we're good to go. And the nose can use a little bit of fixing as well right here, but let's go ahead to the next step and fix the nose. Right here, notice that the nose texture is a little bit too far up. Let's actually just fix that now. We can just really quickly bring that nose point a little bit further down and fix that. Next step, next step. And that should prevent our nostrils from taking over the nose. All right, so I think we're good to go right there. So we've already created a pretty beautiful looking image right here. And we're going to be using the 3D Caucasian 3D face profile. So let's move to the next step. And the next step is where we get to do all the fun stuff like fitting each individual facial part. So again, I'm going to go through this pretty quickly because it's covered in a lot of detail in my good friend Anook's tutorial that has the single image facial fitting. So we'll just go ahead and work with this. I like to create sort of a cube or a square around the iris with these 4 fitting points here. You can see like that. And make sure you have the line along the separation, along the line between the eyeball and the eyelid. And you should be good to go from there. Let's just move the eyebrow a little bit over as well. There we go. And move on to the left eye here. We can drag this down and make that square with our fitting points here. There we go. This one can be a little bit closer in there as well. Oh, a lot of fun. It's a blast putting in these eye fitting points, I tell you. Alright, here we go. That should be good. And move the eyebrow over as well. Now you can also click and drag to select like multiple points at a time. Just by clicking and dragging. There's an invisible selection box. So you just have to imagine it right there. You can select everything just like that. Alright, so that's the eye. And let's move on to the nose. Now the nose can be a little bit tricky. What we want to do first of all is we notice that his nostril is a little bit off to the side there. His nose isn't exactly straight, so we can probably just, move it a little bit over there. And that'll even a little bit further over there. And what you essentially want to do is try to conform these fitting points to the nostril. So let's click this point right here, bring it down slightly, and this point can curl around the nostril just like this. We'll try and get something like that. This point down further over here, this point over there, and this point right about there. And we get that nice, that is one nice nostril. Nice looking nostril. Alright, let's bring this one down here as well. This is kind of making the outer nostrils, so we can, you can see the results as I move these markers on the left hand side there. You want to stretch these out a little bit to kind of, flare the nostril a little bit. No one has nostrils that thin, so let's bring them out a little bit. Alright, I think that's good to go. And you want to make sure that this kind of morph area right here conforms, kind of cuddles the bulb of your nose, the front bulb of your nose. I think that should be good. We can probably move it up a little bit. And we'll just work with that for now. Alright, and we'll move on to the mouth. The mouth is fairly simple. Just make sure that the points are in the space between the upper and lower lip. And we'll just move it like that. And we can probably move this over slightly as well. I think that's looking good. You can click and drag to make the lips larger or smaller according to your preference, and we'll just work with that. Let's move to the face now. The face is looking okay. We can move the scalp around if we want by clicking and dragging this section right here, making it larger or smaller. You can make the forehead indented or extruding like this, like an alien from Aliens Mars Attacks or whatever. I'll just leave it at a relatively normal, because Radek looks like a relatively normal dude. And I think everything else here looks fairly good. Now we may have to adjust these ear sections later, and I'll show you that in a moment if we get to it. We can test out the mouth and the eye as well, or the eyes. Let's select mouth right now for calibration and see if our character can pronounce his consonants properly.
5. Zebra.
There you go. We can
punch.
Rotate around to make sure you can pronounce all that properly. And you can also, by the way, if you go to front fitting, for example, if we go to all, if we press the F hotkey, that'll give us a front-facing image. An S hotkey will give us a 90-degree side-facing image. You can also use these tools up here, or you can use the Z hotkey to zoom in. You can use the X hotkey to pan around, or the C hotkey to rotate. But what I like to do is just press the X hotkey, and that'll give us the panning tool. And then you can use the right mouse button to rotate, and the left mouse button to pan, and both mouse buttons to zoom. So that's probably a lot easier for most of you, as opposed to using the hotkeys. That's the way that I do it. You can choose to do it the way you want, but that's the way I'm going to use it for now. So let's go to the side fitting now. So into side fitting, I want to make sure my eyebrows are in place. Again, this isn't too difficult here. Just kind of follow the reference image on the left side. This part will kind of extrude an area between your eyebrows, so you can leave that at a reasonable level, unless you want him to have a really large brow. And you can zoom this out. Again, I can hold the space key, click and drag when that hand appears on the screen there to pan down. Now this part here is pretty important. This part for the eyes, we'll deal with this little point here later. You want to make sure that when you click and drag this point here, notice where the eye is positioned. So you don't want your eye to be in like a weird, wacky position. You want it to be fairly, normal, straightforward, looking forward just like that. And just place this line along the root of the eyelashes. And same thing with this one right here. You want to kind of just put it into the correct position, maybe a little bit shorter than the other one, and that should be good. Now this point here is essentially your eye bags. So for this I'm going to press the F hotkey to focus on the front of my character's face here, and let's, you can move this up, and you can see the result if I move it up and down like that. That's what you're going to get if you move your little, this one little powerful point right here can change the entire appearance of your character's eyes. So be careful with this one. We'll leave it in a normal position like this. All right, and let's move on to the nose. So the nose is a little bit, like a ski jump nose. Let's try and fix that by clicking and dragging this part a little bit down further. I think that should be okay right there. And then we'll move this one a little bit further down. I can maybe do something like that actually. Now the points here don't exactly have to be right curling around the nostril. It really depends on the look you're going for, but as long as the texture looks fine on the image to the right, then you don't really have much to worry about. You can just kind of curl it around. Again, these are just fitting points kind of for reference. You do normally want to get these fairly accurate, but again, we're just trying to encircle the nostril again to create a nose like that. And these parts here are fun. These parts of sections of meat here. You can click and drag here to create like a hawk nose. This looks like a sirloin steak or something, his nose here. I'm doing all the Hannibal stuff right now, but this one here could be like the vulture nose. We'll just keep it as a straight nose for good old Radek here, because he has a fairly straight nose. We can probably take this one up a little bit, this fitting point up a little bit like that, and maybe this point really in a little bit as well. There we go. We'll work with that. All right, so let's go on to the mouth then, and the mouth is fairly straightforward again. Put this point here at the point between the lips, this point here at the edge of the mouth, and then wrap your lips around as you see fit. All right. I'm not going to spend too much time on the lips. You can click and drag these points here to expand them or contract them. And let's move on to the face. So the face section is the single most important section when you're doing side facial fitting. All right, so this section here, I'm going to skip ahead briefly to the texture blending section because I want to explain something about the blend types here. Now, if you look at these icons here, we have levels 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Each icon has a separate level of blending. The white section on the character's face here, that represents your original texture. So the white area will represent the texture or the image that you actually imported in. So for example, if we go to the first one, this entire section right here, the entire back of the head, that is all generated by CrazyTalk 8 to blend into your character's material. So you can see it blends in fairly well, looks pretty natural, but we can actually do better and get some more of the original actual texture from the character's image. So level 2, for example, will add more on the cheek there. Level 3 will add more around the forehead as well. Level 4 will add more around the head and along the sideburns as well. You see some sideburn coming in there. And level 5 will have more along the forehead and along this area. And finally, level 6 will be the entire hair. So if we pan around, you can see here we have the entire hair along with the ear that's slightly mispositioned, but we can fix that in just a moment. So this is an extremely powerful tool for 3D artists and 3D modelers who want to map an image to a 3D model head. And we'll talk more about that in separate tutorials. But for this tutorial, we're just going to work with this level 6 for now. You can also deselect blend type, and that will basically be the original texture, and there won't be any blending at all around the neck and the ears and everything like that. But we'll just leave it at level 6. We'll just select blend type and select level 6, and we're going to work with what we have here. So I'm going to go to side fitting, and we need to modify some of the side fitting. Let's zoom out a little bit here by holding both mouse buttons and zooming out here. Now the first thing I want to do is adjust the scalp slightly, because you can see we have this little area right here where there's actually nothing, and we need to refine this scalp area, so we'll move it a little bit further in, and that should make that disappear. So now our hair will cover that material area. And also his head, the kind of curvature of the rear side of his head is a little bit different. So let's go ahead and try and fix that by clicking and dragging this section here a little bit further out. Maybe the bottom one here needs to make his neck a little bit more radic-like, a little bit more manly. We'll just go ahead and do something like that. All right, and you can modify the slope of the head and everything like that as well by clicking and dragging these items right here. I think the head looks okay the way it is though, but we do need to fix the ear. So let's focus on the ear. We can actually take this entire ear section and move it backwards like this, and we'll be more in touch with the blended ear and the regular texture ear. And then we can just go ahead and click and drag these individual points to, surround the area that we want, the texture that we want for the ear. So something like that will do okay, I believe. There we go. And so now we're kind of hiding the ear texture and using our automatically generated CrazyTalk 8 ear, which normally looks a little bit better. We'll just kind of move that in a little bit like that. And I think we should be good to go. We can move the ear in like that. I think that looks okay. And then you may actually get some issues with the blending on the chin as well. If you ever do get that, so say for example we decide to take this chin out like that, maybe you need to take it a little bit further out. You may get some blending issues anyways. I don't think we're going to be able to get some in this section right here. We did the placement too well a little bit earlier on, so we'll just leave it the way it is right there. Alright, so there's Radic looking fine and dandy. We can go pan around to the other side. Everything looks okay, and we have a nice even blend between the chin and the side of the face, and the entire texture has been nicely mapped onto our 3D model's head. So again, this is an extremely powerful and useful tool for those artists who are trying to map UV textures, diffuse textures to a 3D model's head. Now I just wanted to insert a little aside here. I know this character looks a little bit different. He's done the facial fitting process here. But you can also use these morph shapes here to adjust your character's, the shape of your character's head. So by clicking and dragging these morph gizmos here, you can increase or decrease like the volume of your character's head by using this one right here. This one is for the brow. You can click and drag left and right to extend your character's brow, give him a stronger brow. And we also have a morph shape for the cheeks as well. Just like on the previous steps, we had it for the nose and stuff like that. You can bring out the cheeks. If we give our character like a 45-degree angle, you can see it a little bit better like this. We can really, inflate his cheeks or give him like more skinny, gaunt-looking cheeks like that, which is pretty cool as well. I like to modify the cheek ones quite a bit. And then for the chin, there's all sorts of different, cuts of meat right here on the chin here. You can go right under the lip and extend this a little bit, and you get that sort of effect, depending on what kind of effect, what kind of chin you want to go for. This one here, you can bring it out this way. This one goes up and down, so you can extend it further downwards like that. This section of the chin here, you can move this one forward or backwards. You'll probably want to use these in combination. Move that one down and move this one forward like that or backwards like this. This one right here gives your chin more volume, so you can really extend it like that and give yourself like a hooked witch chin or something. And this one here is for more like a turkey neck. You can really, give your character like a triple chin or a Winston Churchill type chin, and all those various effects, and use them in combination for whatever type of chin you're going for. You can have fun experimenting with these on your own time. Just wanted to insert that for you guys so you can have fun with experimenting with those on your own time. So from now, let's move on to the all section. We can check everything, make sure it's all good in the hood, and then let's move on to the texture blending. So again, in texture blending, if you're using level 6 and you have results like this, you don't really need to worry about much. But say, for example, you're at level 2 and you want a little bit more of a realistic color to blend into your character's head. So let's try and make this a little bit darker. It seems a little bit white to me. So we can actually just, with our color picker selected here, we can just go ahead and choose like a darker area of our character's head, and that'll blend in, a certain way. You kind of have to click around here with trial and error and get the best position. I think that one looks actually pretty good. Maybe this one looks pretty good right there. So that looks pretty natural. Again, if you were, only using a front-facing image, I know it covers this in the single image tutorial a little bit better, but you can, you select your skin color using the swatch as well, different shades and whatnot, and you can have all the fun in the world with that. Let's take a look now at the pore size and the skin roughness. So we're going to zoom in on the character with level 2 selected. So if you get to that point where you need to, blend a little bit more than expected, you need to use like level 1 or level 2, you can use this skin roughness here to kind of give it a more realistic texture. The automatically generated texture, a little bit more realistic pores and everything like that. So you can also make sure you go here first to preview resolution high and low, and you'll notice that when we select this, we get a little bit of a higher resolution preview. And you can then choose to modify your pore size. So if I take this pore size up to like 9, for example, that'll increase the pore size, and we can increase the strength so we can see it a little bit better. And we can get a really kind of rough skin texture like that, which looks a bit more realistic than the flat stuff that we had before. And if you want to make him look really manly, you can change from skin roughness as fine to rough skin roughness. And when you do that, you get kind of like a veiny, manly look like this. So you can probably take down that strength a little bit, as well as the pore size. When you do the rough template here, you don't really need as much, but you can see you get a nice, blended result, some random noise over here, like some veiny stuff going on. Let's just leave it at the fine level. I think that should be okay, and maybe a pore size of 6, a strength of like 7 or something like that. I'll be fine, and we can work with that. That is, if we didn't already have our blended side image like that, which kind of looks a lot better, I think, because we got the nice stubble and the skin abnormalities and stuff going on there as well. All right, so let's just work with this, and we can also go into detailed morphs, and then we can morph it even further. So we have Radic here. Let's morph him a little bit. We can go to full head. We can make his head a little bit more narrow, a little bit wider. I think the normal Radic head looks pretty good. We can make him a little bit heavier, so we can make Radic's skinny cousin Lenny or Radic's fat cousin Bob, all using the same character template. We just save this and reload it, and then just modify this slider. We can also make him look a little bit younger, like cuter and stuff like that. And then there's regular Radic, who's aged quite dramatically in a few seconds. And then we can also do things like the jaw, for example. You can have fun with this on your own time. I'm not going to spend too much time modifying all these detailed morphs. We may have a separate tutorial on that. You can give him like a nice Superman chin cleft there, which I think is pretty cool. Let's actually just keep that. Let's give him a chin cleft, and you can also give him like a double chin if you wanted, something like that, a little bit lower. But all sorts of cool stuff. The technology is taken from Character Creator. So if you're familiar with Character Creator, you may be familiar with a lot of these ones. The nose, there's all sorts of stuff you can do with the nose, or the forehead, the cheek. I like the cheek sync, actually. This one kind of makes him look malnourished or fat, like this. Again, you can modify these on your own time. We're not going to spend too much time on the detailed morphs. Let's go ahead and apply this to our scene. Alright, so there's our boy Radek, and we can modify him in all sorts of various ways by using these actor styles up here, actor style templates. We can make him an aloha male like this, give him the fake hair and everything like that, or we can, make him into an angelic Radek just like this. And if we play, you can see there's our angel Radek, and we can have him move around like that. Let's go ahead and choose something like this beach. There's a beach one here that looks, I think, would suit this guy a little bit better. Alright, there's beach Radek like that. We can also take this tool here and rotate him around slightly, something like this. And let's go ahead and add some hair onto him as well by using the actor elements. And if you go to the root folder, you can find eyes, teeth, hair. We'll talk about these in separate tutorials, but for now I can just apply some, maybe like there's some beach bum hair for this guy. Let's go for the short hair. I think this will look a little bit better there. Alright, and so that's about it for this tutorial, guys. Again, if you want some more detailed, slower paced steps to follow along to, you can check out our single image tutorial that my friend Anouk has created for you guys. That's a more in-depth look at how to fit a 3D model's head with a single image. And that's about it for this tutorial again, guys. Thanks so much for watching. Make sure you check out our forums at forum.reallusion.com. You can discuss all your CrazyTalk creations and share all your cool stuff in our forums and on YouTube and that stuff. So again, that's about it. I hope you enjoy using CrazyTalk 8, and I'll see you next time.